Hi there, my name is Miss Kelly. I am a virtual content specialist for social studies grades 3 through 5. And today we're going to be doing a paraphrasing lesson. We're going to be reading a little bit about the new nation and practicing our paraphrasing skills. So let's get started. So, today, in order to do this, we'll be reading an article about the Constitution, and then we will practice paraphrasing from that text. So we will put what the text actually reads and then put it in our own words because paraphrasing just means putting the text in your own words. And this is important because you don't want to take somebody else's ideas and write them down exactly the same way without quoting them. So sometimes you want to add a quote, but sometimes you just want to paraphrase so that you can cite their ideas and not their exact words. Some vocabulary that you'll see today are concerned. Concerned means worried or thinking about something. Then you'll also see the word taxes. Taxes are money that people pay to their government to pay for services. And you'll also see the word debt. Debt means that somebody owes somebody money. So today, our focus question is how can we put important parts from the text in our own words? Let's start by reading this article on the new nation and how ordinary Americans felt about the Constitution. The Constitution is an important document. It took power away from kings and gave it to the people. But in the late 1700s, many Americans were against it. They thought it was written by rich men who wanted more power for themselves. They were angry that there was no Bill of Rights. There was nothing in the Constitution to protect their individual freedoms. Some groups were very unhappy about the Constitution. African Americans, craftsmen, and small farmers were especially concerned. They worried that the Constitution would not protect them. African Americans. In 1790, many of the people in America were African American slaves. They were owned like farm animals and forced to work for their masters. They rejected the Constitution because it supported slavery. It did not give everyone freedom. Artisans. Craftsmen were people who worked with their hands. They were called artisans. There were many of them in America. Some of them worried about the Constitution. They wanted to be able to borrow money and buy land. They were afraid that the Constitution gave too much power to the rich. If it helped the rich to control businesses, then regular workers would be worse off. Small farmers. Amos Singletary was a poor farmer from Massachusetts. He spoke at a state meeting to approve the Constitution in 1788. He said, "These lawyers and men of learning and moneyed men will swallow up all us little folks. This is what I'm afraid of." Singletary did not speak for all farmers. He spoke for poor farmers who feared and hated the rich. The rich let them borrow money. Then they took land from farmers who could not pay their debts. They sold the farmers' land. But many other farmers did support the Constitution. They felt the nation needed it to collect taxes and pay for an army. Later, many of them changed their minds. During hard times, farmers started to protest. They complained that the Constitution helped only the rich. So, we learned a lot in this article about how different groups of Americans felt about the Constitution. Let's say we wanted to paraphrase some of this information. Let's say we wanted to put it in our own words. Let me show you how I would do this first. Here's an actual quote from the text. In 1790, many of the people in America were African American slaves. They were owned like farm animals and forced to work for their masters. They rejected the Constitution because it supported slavery. It did not give everyone freedom. What I want to do is I want to put this in my own words. Maybe I'm writing an essay or responding to this text, and I want to use the information, but I don't want to use the author's words because I won't be quoting the author. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cover up that text for a minute. I'm not going to look at it. And I'm just going to summarize it in my own words. I'm going to restate what it said in my own words. And then I'm just going to write that down. And that's going to make sure that I don't accidentally copy the author's words. Watch how I did this. When the Constitution was written, many African Americans disagreed with the Constitution because it supported slavery, meaning not every person was free. Pause the video here and think about how I took this quote and put it in my own words. Now it's your turn. Here's another quote from the text. Craftsmen wanted to be able to borrow money and buy land. They were afraid that the Constitution gave too much power to the rich. If it helped the rich control business, then regular workers would be worse off. Take a moment here and try to put this in your own words. You can do this on the worksheet if you have it, or just on a piece of paper. Show you how I would do it, and then you can compare your response to mine. Craftsmen were concerned about the Constitution because they believed that it gave the rich too much power and control over businesses, leaving regular workers more poor. So notice how when you paraphrase the text, you say the important parts in your own words. Thank you so much for reading with me, and I hope that this review on paraphrasing was helpful.